I'm the Book Baron. Welcome in, everybody. So today we're doing something I've wanted to do for a really long time, which is talking about unpopular opinions around books. Basically, since the beginning of my channel, I've wanted to do something about like hot takes or unpopular opinions or like book pet peeves. I've been keeping like a running list of things that I don't like, whether it's words or little tropes or things that just irritate me in books, but I've never felt quite comfortable like actually filming that video because like, who am I truly? And also I find like a lot of unpopular opinions or like hot take videos end up being kind of popular opinions in their own way. Instead of doing something along those lines to make it a little bit more lighthearted, I found a series of prompts that we're going to be following. So it's like going to be complaining, but it's organized. So hopefully it's a little bit more helpful and you can kind of put together some patterns about what I look for in books, things that bother me, things that don't. So hopefully it can be a little bit more helpful for you to learn more about me as a reviewer of like when we align and when we don't. And for anyone who's a content creator that would like to answer these prompts for themselves, I will leave the list of prompts in the description box. So those are nice and handy dandy for you. Before we descend into chaos and madness, I did want to warn anybody that is new or this is your first video, I have a tendency to descend into snarkiness when I don't like something. Please keep in mind, this is supposed to be just like a little tee-hee, ha-ha, yap session. If I start talking about an author or a book or a series or something that you really hold dear, don't hesitate to skip around or click off the video. I don't want to hurt your feelings. That's not my intention. End of the day, I'm just a crusty broad sitting in her living room talking to a camera. I promise it's not that serious. With all that said, let us jump into the prompts. So we're starting off with a strong one, and it's popular books or series that you don't like. And I'm trying to do like 2 to 3 items for each of these prompts so we can get a little bit of variety. But the first one that comes to mind, and is the one that everyone assumes for some reason that I like, is Fourth Wing by Rebecca Yarros. This was one that I read right at the beginning of my channel. It was super hyped. I read it like the first couple of weeks, first month that it came out. I just remember reading it and being like confused as to why everyone was loving this book. Now, one thing to know about me is I have a tendency to get hung up on world building. So when the world building doesn't make sense, I have a hard time buying into a book. And one of the things that immediately right out the gate that this book has, and it's not just this book, there's plenty of other books that kind of have like a military or like a training school setup, that this always kind of like irks me because it never makes sense to me, is when you have like a really brutal training system, but also you are conscripting people into the school, into the service. People, this is in some way compulsory because you need bodies to go through this training, right? You need people. If the most elite people are dying at a high rate during their training, doesn't it make more sense to fail them out into lower levels and have less lethal training up front to weed out who is built for this and who is not, and then increase the lethality of the training that they're going through, rather than weeding out so many people? That's the type of stuff that my brain can't let go. I can't let go of it. So we were already off to a bad start with this book because that's one of those things that I got really hung up on. My friend claims that this later gets explained, but I'm gonna be so for real. At that point, it's too little too late. To me, it feels like we're just trying to fill a plot hole. So that was one thing that really bothered me with a book that I just like could never quite get over. And then I don't really like books that are like, yeah, girl power, cheetah girls, we're stronger together. It feels a little bit corny and at odds with the world. So that was one that I really did not enjoy my reading experience of. Another one that is more of like a contemporary, and actually makes me really sad because I generally, back when I read Colleen Hoover, really liked her books. I hated It Ends With Us. Oh, I shouldn't say I hated it. It was like a mid book to me. And I almost wish that maybe I had read it earlier and then it went to, no, because then I didn't like the mismarketing. I think that's what I really got hung up on, because I think it does have an important message about abuse and how that can kind of like sneak into relationships and the sneaky ways that abusers manipulate people. But I didn't like that the book wasn't honest up front about what it was, because I'm like, that isn't a hindrance to people reading the book and understanding the message, because like Long Shot by Kennedy Ryan kind of tackles the same subject and it's super upfront about what it's about. I think that really bothered me. Plus, I also, oh my gosh, you guys. So I also read this book after Ellen had been unmasked as like actually a villain and not a good person. And I can't remember, does she write to Ellen or Dory? Something along those lines. And so then that felt super weird. So I think part of it it might have been a timing issue. Part of it is just the marketing issue. You know, it's just like those little things that kind of add up and bother me. Oh, you know what I realized? I didn't talk about a dark romance on here at all, which is primarily what I read. What's a dark romance that I don't? Oh, wait, no, what's the name of this book? Hold on. The Ritual by Chantal Tessier. This one, I can't stand this book. So much unnecessary violence. Like everything was just at 100 and very melodramatic all the time. But the thing that I remember is after every time they did anything a little bit sexy was that she was like incapable of walking. Like, girl, what's happening to you? I think you need to go to a doctor and get that checked out. I just found that like so comical. And then there was like so many little things where it was just like, this is so corny and over the top. Like at one point I remember the heroine hadn't been in school and the guy was like, don't worry about it. I've had a body double taking your classes. What? Makes no sense. It did give me a giggle though. Okay, uncovered memory alert. So one of the things that bothered me about this book was also kind of a world building thing a little bit. Are we shocked? Not really. It had to do with the vow ceremony for the secret society. It's all over like the marketing material, like everything associated with this series has this on it. And it doesn't make any sense to me because it's between a guy and a girl and the girl says, I vow. And then the guy says, you vow. So far, the only person that's vowed shit is the girl. And then they say, we vow. But the guy never vows. And it never made sense to me why we had to redundantly vow the girl, but not the guy. I don't know. You guys, these are the things that eat at my brain. Anyway, let's get back to more fun, silly, goofy things. And I did finish the book. So, I mean, I guess maybe there's something there. But yeah, that one's super popular. And I can't stand that book. I haven't picked up anything from Chantal Tessier since because I'm like, I don't trust you now. I don't trust you. All right, next up is a little bit more fun. It's a book or series that many people don't like, but I love. So for this one, I went and just kind of like flipped my Goodreads really quick so that I could see what some of the lowest rated books were that I've read. One that I'm like a little bit hurt and offended is Dark City Omega by Elizabeth Stevens. Now, is this a perfect book? Absolutely not. But I remember the experience of reading this book. I found it at my library. I binged the shit out of it. Like I sat down and just read all the way through. Did I have to ignore some miscommunication that felt a little silly, goofy, and that was a little bit nonsensical? Yes, but I'm just a girl that is listening to a male narrator with an accent. Maybe that swayed my opinion. But I just remember having so much fun because it was a dystopian setting, but it was also Omegaverse, but it was just MF because I'm not a super big white shoes person. And so it just had a lot of things that were really fun. And I loved that we were like trying to fight the Omega berserker biology. They were like getting really hot and bothered with one another, but also they don't know each other that well. So they keep butting heads. They don't want to give into this thing. So I just found that tension to be so fun. But yeah, I was shocked. This has garbage ratings. I think it's like a 3.5 or something like that. But when I looked once upon a time, I seem to remember that there was like a oh, someone has come to join us. He's going to sit directly behind me. That's not helpful at all. But anyways, I noticed that this one, there was like a lot of low ratings from people that had gotten this in a book box subscription. And I think this is one of those that it's meant for like a niche audience. And when it starts reaching a broader audience that didn't really seek it out, like they're just not going to enjoy it as much. That said, there were also some valid critiques about like the pacing and like not getting enough like backstory on the characters in the world. But that kind of stuff didn't really bother me. But yeah, I loved that. Loved that book. So another one that I was surprised at how low the general rating was, just because I feel like this one has kind of a cult following, which is ironic because there is a cult in this book, was Vibe by Liza James. I know that Liza, way back when I did an interview on Nikki's channel with her, that she's gotten comments that people don't like her heroines, I think because they go through such big arcs and they have a lot of trauma and baggage that they're coming in with. So they respond out of that trauma very often. So I don't know if that didn't jive with people, but I loved it because I remember their chemistry was so palpable. Like, you know, in movies when everything will kind of go fuzzy and the audio goes out and it's just the two of them. That's literally how this book felt. Like the couple had their own atmosphere and they had such great character arcs, learning to trust one another and also fighting back against the people that hurt them. I loved it. It was an unhinged good time for me. Number 3 is a love triangle where the main character ends up with a person that you don't like. And I know that I've had this happen to me on multiple occasions. Twilight being a primary example. No, I'm totally joking. Would there be a diabolical way to reveal that I was Team Jacob this whole time? Everyone's clicked off the video. It's fine. Totally joking about that. But I know I've had this happen to me before in books because I have put a book down and I can't for the life of me remember which book it was or even when I read it. There's one that I'm worried about right now, which is Lesser Wolves, because there are two heroines and I vastly prefer one of them over the other. I don't know if it's going to be a throuple or he ends up picking one or I don't know, the girls end up together. I have no idea. So I'm a little bit worried about how that's all going to resolve. Oh, wait. I have such a good one for this. Oh my God, I can't believe I didn't think about this. My main trauma from 2025 reading, Between Two Kings by Lindsay Straub. Oh my God, I'm getting mad just thinking about this. This has a love triangle and it was teased that it was going to resolve in a certain way and then it didn't. The way the book ended made me want to throw the book against the wall. Like, oh my God, there was so much buildup in two different books for it all to be meaningless. I loved the first book. It was corny, campy, funny, haha, hee hee, but also weirdly some good politics. And then that second book, Prison Time for all involved. Oh my God, I hated how that one ended. All right, next up is popular genre that you hardly reach for. I mean, immediately what comes to mind is lit fic, just because I don't like that in parsing through to get to the symbolism, a lot of times the main story is not that interesting or nothing really happens. But I think if we're talking about romance specifically, if we're talking about like subgenres, probably romanticy or suspense. I think those are the kind of the two most popular ones that are just not really for me. I like fantasy romance, but I find that romanticy doesn't quite stick the landing with the world building plot side of the things, or doesn't stick the landing with the romance. See Fourth Wing. I don't feel like it strikes that balance versus like fantasy romance tends to incorporate the romance into the plot line a little bit better. And then suspense, I just don't like that. They all have like the same ending. The heroine's like always kidnapped or almost murdered like every single time. It feels a little bit silly because I'm like, how often can this happen in one little small town? It makes no sense to me. All right, number 5, we have a popular or beloved character that you don't like. And I kind of struggled with this one because generally like if I don't like the characters, I don't like the book. And the only one that I can think of, I really sat on this one, was Piper from It Happened One Summer by Tessa Bailey. This book was like a popular like 3-4 summers ago. And I thought I would really like her character because she was based off of Alexis from Schitt's Creek. And I am a Schitt's Creek stan. Like I have watched it from beginning to end at least 5 times. It's my comfort show. I rewatch seasons like 2 through 5 constantly. Like it's always kind of a show that is in the background that I'm watching in and amongst my other media. But I just did not like Piper. I had such a hard time cheering for her because I don't enjoy following self-absorbed people that are just so clueless to the amount of strife and destruction that an inconvenience they bring to other people's life. Gosh, that just irritates me so much. So that was really the only one that I could really think of. I'm sure if I really put my feet to the fire, I could figure it out, but that's the only one that's really coming to mind. Number 6 is an author that you can't seem to get into. And I have definitely 2 for this. I probably have more than that for this, but the 2 like really popular dark romance authors that immediately come to mind. First one, Rena Kent. I have tried to read so many of her books. I've only ever liked one, and the rest have just been mid. And it's not like I find her to be like horrifically bad or like super misaligned with what I like. There's just like nothing that pulls me into her book. Like I read her books and I just have absolutely no feelings about them. It's like I'll get to the end, I'm like, all right, okay. I think part of it is because the guys are like psychopaths, but it's not like deeply psychological or crafty or manipulative. It's just like the hero is just kind of mean and doesn't care what other people think. And so I think I don't really find that compelling. And so then everything kind of like falls apart from there. And I know that the book that I didn't have that type of character. And I know she does kind of like a lot of copy paste with kind of like her plots, and her characters all tend to feel kind of similar. So I think that's why she doesn't really work for me. The other person that immediately comes to mind is Anna Huang. I've read 2 different books from her, and I kind of in a weird way loved Twisted Love, even though like I wouldn't consider it like a good book. I thought there was a lot of pacing issues. I found the characters to be kind of juvenile and inconsistent and just like very tropey, but there was something about the unhingedness of it, like just introducing a mafia plotline like just midway through the book, because why not? Like pulling pranks, like putting, what was it, salt in cookies or something to get emotions. Like it was just kind of one of those that it was like a silly, goofy time for me. And also the spice was pretty good. So like I have a certain affinity for that, but I've read more from her since. And although I think her stories have gotten more polish as she's gone on in her writing journey, I still feel like there's like a lack with the characters where I just don't quite connect with them. They are a little bit like too generic, and they lack cunning. They lack sophistication. So like the thing that sticks out to me was it Twisted Lies? The hero was like being asked if he was into philanthropy or something, or like volunteered or something like that. And the heroine, instead of coming up with something that's kind of like close, where it kind of like misrepresents something he currently does, she just like flat out lies and was like, he reads to the elderly. It wasn't even like a believable lie. It was just, it's stuff like that where I'm like, oh, it'd be so much more entertaining, so much more juicy if we could just get that little bit of cunning, that little bit of something going on with the characters. But I never quite connect with them. So I think that's why I've never quite gotten into her books. And I think with both of them, they have this like palatable for the masses. They're just salacious enough to be like considered dark romance, but like I've read such wild stuff at this point that I think that's also probably part of the reason they don't hit for me. Next, we have a popular book trope that you are tired of seeing. I don't know if this is considered like a trope or a micro trope, but like one of the things that I'm really sick of seeing is any phrase that it is like popping up in marketing. Who hurt you? Good girl. Those types of things just reek to me of unoriginality. I'm like, bring that vibe, but say something different. Because the second I see that phrase in there, I can like feel the author being like, they're gonna eat this up. And it just drives me batty. So I don't know if that one technically qualifies though, because that's like more of a micro trope. But in terms of tropes, I'm definitely sick of the sex club BDSM plotline. I feel like all of those kind of verge on the same thing. He loves to be in control and she doesn't want to have to think, and she's never been more free. With Sarah Kate's Salacious Player Club series really popping off, I feel like everyone really wanted to try their hand at that. Let's give it a break. Let's give it a rest. The other one that I've been seeing more recently that I feel like flies under the radar that I don't see a lot of people talk about is like swearing off relationships. I just never find the reason behind that trope to be compelling. I just gotta focus on hockey and make it to the NHL. I don't listen to the NFL. I know sports. Or I just got my heart broken, so I'm not gonna do relationships. I just find the reason to be like a little bit silly. And when has that ever worked in real life? All of my friends that are like, I'm not gonna date, are in a relationship like the next month. All right, we're closing in on the end. Number 8, a popular book or series that you have no interest in reading. And to be honest, there's actually a lot. It's so weird. There's certain authors or certain books, I can hear about it a million times and just like nothing about that book will stick with me. The author I'm thinking about in particular is Carly Fortune. I have heard about her books. I've watched people's vlogs reading her books, going in depth, analyzing things, talking about what they do and don't like. I couldn't tell you a single thing about her plots, characters, what series she's doing. I kind of vaguely know what her covers look like, but like nothing about her books sticks. So it's not even that I have like a hatred for them. Like I just generally, they don't stand out to me for whatever reason. And there's a lot of other books that are like that are literally just not coming to mind because again, they just don't stand out. One that is from an author that I really like that I have no interest in reading is Great Big Beautiful Life by Emily Henry. The premise, I was kind of like, because I don't like plot lines with contemporary romances where the main plot, it has nothing to do with the couple. So that alone, I was kind of like, that's not my favorite. I've also read Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, so I'm like, I've already seen this, already kind of done that. And then the reviews came in that people were like, it was a stinker, I was like, okay, I feel even more justified for not really being that interested in this book. But again, it's not that I dislike these books or have like hatred for them. I literally just like, I just have no interest. Like I look at them and I have no feelings. All right, number 9, we have book or movie adaptations that did it better than the book. So this one's a little bit tricky because I don't tend to watch like a ton of TV or watch a lot of movies, or if I do, they tend to be older. I mean, I think the most obvious one that comes to mind just immediately is Bridgerton. I've read the books in that series and they're fine as far as historical romances go. I don't think they really stand out to me, but the show is so good. There's so much tension. There's incredible costuming. Set dressing is incredible. Like I just love visually how everything looks. And there's just this like modern flair, but make it historical that I just enjoy so much. And that honestly surprises me because I generally am not a person that actually likes romance forward TV shows or movies. Oh, you know what? Actually, another one, Outlander, is actually one that I think season 1 in particular, I think is better than book 1 because the show almost follows the book beat for beat. There is not actually a ton of differences, but I remember reading Outlander and feeling like she did a ton of info dumping and had just like everything in the kitchen sink thrown into this book where it was just like, good God, when is this girl gonna get a break? Like I was just exhausted for everything that got thrown at her. And like I learned more about the history of the book and how it came about. And it makes sense when you understand her approach, which was basically like she was just trying to write everything that she possibly could as like a writing exercise. She had no intention of publishing this. But anyways, I think it works better as a TV show because all of those things then are serialized. So instead of feeling like it's just like thing after thing just being lobbed after her, I think it reads better in a TV show because you're having something interesting happen in each episode, if that makes sense. But anyways, those are my unpopular opinions. I would love to hear from you. Do you agree? Do you disagree on any of these? How would you respond to some of these prompts yourself? I would love to hear your guys' thoughts and opinions in the comments down below and chat about your unpopular opinions as well. And with all of that, thank you so much for being here and sitting through all of this. Don't forget to like the video since you did make it to the end. It's entirely free for you. It's painless, I promise. You can also subscribe if you would like more content from me. I would love to have you back for another video. So I really, really do hope I see you on my next video. Bye-bye.